Have you ever set a goal that felt exciting at first, but somehow it faded away in a matter of weeks? Do you find yourself making big plans only to feel stuck, overwhelmed, or like you're always starting over? If you're tired of chasing goals that don't move the needle in your life, this video is for you. We're diving into how to set goals that actually change your life, not just make you feel productive for a moment. With insights rooted in Stoicism and driven by real motivation, we'll break down the mindset and structure behind meaningful, lasting progress. So if you're ready to take control of your life, one goal at a time, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is your space for growth, grit, and grounded wisdom.
1. Vision versus goals. Know the difference. Many people confuse vision with goals. Your vision is your North Star, your deeper purpose. Goals, on the other hand, are the stepping stones to that vision. A vision is not just a vague hope for the future. It is a compelling picture of the kind of life, character, and impact you want to have. It operates at the identity level. It's not, I want to make more money. It's, I want to be the kind of person who creates value, lives freely, and uplifts others through my work. Vision speaks to who you are becoming, not just what you are doing. Goals, by contrast, are milestones. They are tactical. You could achieve 10 different goals and still feel lost if they weren't moving you closer to your vision. That's the danger of mistaking movement for meaning. The modern world is obsessed with achievement, but Stoicism asks, achievement toward what end? What kind of soul are you shaping? What kind of human are you evolving into? When you truly understand your vision, you stop chasing trophies and start chasing alignment. Goals become tools, not trophies. They gain context, weight, and direction.
A Stoic doesn't pursue success for applause. He pursues it because it aligns with his virtue, his character, and his calling. That's why your vision must come from within. It's not about status, it's about becoming who you're meant to be. The Stoic does not concern himself with appearances. Epictetus reminds us that status is a distraction. Fame is noise. The wise man acts with purpose, not performance. To a Stoic, success is not external validation, it's inner harmony. That means your goals must serve something larger than ego. Your vision should be a reflection of your values, your ethics, your sacred why. What cause moves you? What kind of legacy matters to you? The pursuit of vision is not always glamorous. It's often lonely, demanding, and misunderstood. But it's also deeply fulfilling because it's anchored in who you are, not who others want you to be. And once you understand that, your goals stop being reactive. You stop setting goals just to keep up with the world and start setting them to keep a promise to yourself. When your goals aren't connected to a greater vision, they become empty checkboxes. But when they serve a larger purpose, they ignite discipline and fire from within. This is why so many people feel burnout, not because they're doing too much, but because they're doing too much of what doesn't matter. You can fill your calendar with tasks and still feel hollow if those tasks don't speak to your soul. But when your goals flow from your vision, discipline becomes devotion. You no longer need hype to take action, you have direction. It's the difference between running aimlessly on a treadmill and walking a path that leads home. Vision breathes life into goals. It gives them soul. The Stoic mindset understands this deeply. Marcus Aurelius journaled daily, not to check a box, but to refine his purpose. His writing wasn't just about self-discipline, it was about remembering why his life mattered. That's the power of vision. It doesn't just change your to-do list, it changes your reason for waking up. Ask yourself, what kind of person am I trying to become? And do my goals reflect that journey? This is the ultimate litmus test. It brings clarity in chaos. Before setting any goal, pause and ask, who is this goal shaping me into? Is it cultivating wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice? Or is it inflating vanity, fear, and insecurity? The Stoic path isn't rigid, but it is intentional. Every goal should bend toward your highest self. If it doesn't, it may be noise. And in a noisy world, clarity is power. Your journey should not be about quantity, but quality. Not how much you achieve, but how much of it aligns with your deeper self. True power lies in conscious design, in shaping a life that reflects your principles, not your pressure to conform. The question isn't just, what do I want to do? It's who am I becoming as I do it?
2. Smart planning. Structure the path. Don't wing it. Motivation can get you started, but structure keeps you going. That's where smart planning comes in. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Motivation is emotional. It comes in waves. It's fickle, and it fades. That's why the Stoic doesn't rely on motivation. He relies on system, structure, and clarity of thought. You can wake up inspired today, but what happens tomorrow when you're tired, anxious, or overwhelmed? Discipline steps in. But discipline without direction is just rigidity. That's why structure matters. The SMART framework gives your energy a channel. You don't just say, I want to write a book. You say, I will write 500 words every morning at 7 a.m. for the next 90 days. Suddenly, the abstract becomes actionable. The Stoics understood the need for practical order. Seneca wrote of dividing one's day deliberately and acting with precision. Your time is your life. To squander it is to squander your potential. Smart planning honors your energy by converting dreams into design. This isn't just a productivity hack. It's a way to honor your time and your potential. The Stoics believed in intentional living. No wasted motion, no vague dreams. There's a misconception that planning is rigid and spontaneity is freedom. But chaos doesn't create freedom. It creates fragmentation. The Stoics knew that a focused life is a free life. To live well, you must live deliberately. That means clarifying your intent and engineering your outcomes. When you structure your efforts, you're not boxing yourself in. You're carving a clear road through the wilderness of modern distraction. Every plan becomes a statement. I value my energy. I value my purpose. I'm not drifting. I'm designing. That's not a hack. That's a reverence for life. You only get so many days. Why let them pass without a clear shape? Structure is not just about outcomes. It's about integrity. The integrity of showing up, of honoring your word to yourself, of aligning your actions with your ideals.
If your goal is to get in shape, you'll drift. But if your goal is to run 3 times a week for 30 minutes to improve stamina over 8 weeks, now you've created a system. The vague goal sounds good, but it lacks teeth. It doesn't tell you when, how, or why. It leaves room for excuses and delays. But a structured goal brings accountability. It invites feedback. It creates milestones and measures progress. More importantly, it trains your mind to operate with clarity. And in Stoic practice, clarity is king. To act without clarity is to act recklessly. But when you break your goals down into simple, measurable tasks, you are no longer at the mercy of moods. You've created a ritual. Over time, those rituals harden into character. And that's what this is really about. Character building through conscious structure. Every small commitment kept is a brick in the temple of your self-respect. Don't hope your goals will work. Engineer them. Hope is passive. Strategy is active. You don't need to wish your way to success. You need to design for it. Engineering your goals means reverse engineering your outcome. What does success look like? What behaviors sustain it? What obstacles might appear? And how will you face them? The Stoics were tacticians of life. They didn't just dream, they prepared. Marcus Aurelius rehearsed hardship so he would not be surprised by it. You must do the same with your goals. Build them like a bridge, one piece at a time, grounded in real conditions. No guesswork, no vague intentions. Engineer your habits, your systems, your time, your boundaries, and then walk the path you've carved, even when the road is steep.
3. Emotional connection. Feel it or fail. You won't fight for a goal you don't care about. Behind every goal that lasts, there's emotional gravity. Without emotional connection, your goals are just ideas, and ideas without passion dissolve under pressure. We're wired to resist discomfort. The brain will always seek the path of least resistance unless there's something meaningful pulling us forward. Emotional gravity is that pull. It's what keeps you moving when logic says stop. When you're tired, it says keep going. When you're afraid, it says go anyway. Stoicism is not about deadening your emotions. It's about understanding them, mastering them, and channeling them toward higher aims. The Stoic doesn't detach from emotion, he reorients it. He lets his deepest values inform his drive. If you don't feel connected to your goal, you will abandon it at the first sign of adversity. But if it's rooted in your soul, you'll endure more than you thought possible. Stoicism teaches emotional clarity, not suppression. You must learn what truly matters to you and why. People misunderstand Stoicism as emotional coldness, but the Stoic is not numb. He is discerning. He doesn't let emotion dictate action, but he also doesn't ignore it. He listens, reflects, and questions. Why do I want this? Is it pride? Is it fear? Or is it purpose? That inquiry is vital, because when your goals arise from clarity, they become extensions of your identity. You don't chase goals to prove your worth. You chase them because they express your essence. That's the difference between burnout and fulfillment. Emotional suppression leads to disconnection, but emotional clarity leads to conviction. Know what lights your fire. Know what breaks your heart. Then pursue goals that align with those truths. Don't set goals based on what sounds impressive. Set goals that pull at your spirit. Goals that make you feel something. Impressive doesn't equal important. We live in a culture that worships optics, likes, applause, external milestones. But the Stoic doesn't care for show. He cares for substance. If a goal doesn't move you, it won't sustain you. The pressure to impress will wear thin. You'll find yourself procrastinating not because you're lazy, but because you're misaligned. Your spirit knows when something's off. The goals worth pursuing are the ones that haunt you a little, the ones that whisper in the quiet, the ones that feel like home and a challenge at the same time. That kind of emotional pull is sacred. It's your compass. Don't trade it for validation.
When you emotionally connect with the outcome, it stops being a should and becomes a must. And that's when motivation becomes internal, not situational. There's a world of difference between goals imposed and goals inspired. I should work out is different from I must get healthy so I can be present for my kids. The former fades, the latter fuels. Internal motivation doesn't rely on mood or environment. It's anchored in meaning. When you attach purpose to the outcome, you don't need tricks to stay on track. The fire is already lit. And that's what Stoicism calls us to cultivate. An inner flame, not an external spark. A will that persists regardless of weather. Emotional connection is what turns that flame into a beacon. That's why goals without emotion are hollow. They're tasks, but goals infused with purpose, they're missions. Attach a story to your goals, something personal, something real. That's how you fuel perseverance.
Humans are storytelling beings. Facts fade, but stories stick. The Stoic journals not just for logic, but to write his narrative. Your goal should have a story behind it. Why does it matter? What does it represent? Who will it help? What part of your life does it redeem or elevate? When you craft a story around your goal, it becomes more than a line on a list. It becomes part of your myth. And myths have power. They give you context in chaos. They make struggle meaningful. When things get hard, you'll remember your story. And that's how you'll endure. Not because the path is easy, but because the story is too important to abandon.
4. Measuring progress. What gets tracked improves. If you don't measure your progress, how do you know you're growing? Progress without measurement is like sailing without a compass. You might feel like you're moving, but are you moving in the right direction? Growth is not just about effort, it's about trajectory. The Stoics were obsessed with self-examination for this reason. Without it, we drift, we repeat cycles, we deceive ourselves into thinking time spent equals progress made. But tracking forces clarity. It removes the fog of assumption. It brings objective truth to the subjective chaos of life. When you reflect honestly on where you've been, you gain sharper vision about where you're going. Measurement is not about judgment. It's about illumination. You're not here to shame yourself into improvement. You're here to see clearly what needs attention. Growth isn't random. It's constructed. And to construct something worthwhile, you need a blueprint. And you need to regularly assess whether the structure you're building is sound. The Stoic mind embraces that process with humility, knowing that unmeasured ambition leads to blind effort, and blind effort rarely transforms lives. Tracking isn't about perfection, it's about awareness, and awareness is the foundation of transformation. There's a misconception that tracking is obsessive or overly rigid, that it's a demand for flawless execution. But that's a misunderstanding rooted in ego. True tracking is not about hitting every target with precision. It's about cultivating awareness. Awareness of patterns, awareness of triggers, awareness of what drains you and what uplifts you. Awareness is the soil in which transformation grows. If you aren't aware of your behaviors, your thinking patterns, your emotional cycles, then how can you improve them? Without tracking, you are at the mercy of your impulses, whims, and moods. But with tracking, you introduce choice. You reclaim agency. You can decide, not just react. You notice what you do when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're inspired. And you start seeing the architecture of your life more clearly. That awareness brings power. You begin to notice which habits nourish your values and which erode them. This isn't about policing yourself, it's about knowing yourself. And once you truly know yourself, you can begin the real work of transformation. Every Stoic journaled. They reflected daily, asked themselves what they did right, what they failed at, and how they could improve. The practice of journaling wasn't optional for the Stoics, it was central. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, wasn't writing to impress anyone. He was journaling for survival, for clarity, for truth, for the development of inner strength. Seneca wrote letters as a form of reflection and ethical sharpening. Epictetus taught his students to review the day each evening, to ask not only what they did, but why. This is the kind of deep inner work modern people often avoid, not because it's too difficult, but because it's too honest. To sit down and ask, where did I fall short today, takes courage. To then ask, how can I do better tomorrow, takes wisdom. This journaling isn't just about recording thoughts, it's about dissecting character. It's not a diary, it's a forge, a place where the raw material of your day gets melted, shaped, and purified. If you're serious about becoming the kind of person you admire, you must become a student of your own life. Journaling is the classroom.
and your daily actions are the curriculum.
Set milestones. Review your progress weekly. Adjust. Improve. Real success is built through tiny victories stacked consistently. Success isn't a singular event. It's not some cinematic moment of arrival. It's the slow, often unglamorous accumulation of small, deliberate wins. You want to read more? Track how many pages you read each day. You want to be calmer? Record how often you respond with patience instead of irritation. These might seem trivial, but they compound. And when you review your week, not just with judgment, but with curiosity, you find the seeds of change. Ask, what worked? What didn't? Why? This isn't about proving yourself. It's about understanding yourself. And once you understand, you can adjust. You can course correct. Real success, the kind that lasts, isn't built on bursts of motivation. It's built on small wins repeated until they become identity. The Stoic path isn't flashy. It's methodical. It's intentional. And it honors the long game over the instant reward. When you learn to celebrate those micro wins, you're no longer chasing perfection. You're living in alignment. You're practicing virtue, not performing it.
Measure not only what you did, but who you became in the process. Most people measure achievement by output. How many books read? How many pounds lost? How much money made? But the Stoic measures by transformation. Who have you become? Are you calmer under pressure, kinder when wronged, wiser in your decisions? These are the real metrics of growth. Because what you achieve externally means little if you've rotted internally. The Stoic doesn't just ask, what did I do? But what did I learn? What did I let go of? What did I grow into? These questions measure character, not just performance. And in the end, that's what counts. Anyone can grind their way to success. But to grow in grace, in composure, in strength of soul, that's rare. That's what sets the Stoic apart. So as you track your progress, don't just record numbers. Record shifts in mindset. Track your integrity. Journal about your internal battles and how you responded. Because the real scoreboard is not your to-do list, it's your being. Who you are becoming is the ultimate outcome.
5. Adapt and overcome. The goal is progress, not perfection. Life doesn't care about your plans. It will test you, bend you, and sometimes break your schedule in half. You can wake up with the most meticulous agenda, color-coded and optimized to the hour, but life will still hit you sideways. A family emergency, a power outage, a global pandemic. The Stoics understood this deeply. That's why Epictetus advised his students to not place their identity in what they can't control. You can't control traffic jams, illness, betrayal, or market crashes, but you can control your response. Too often, people treat their plans like sacred scripts. The moment life rewrites a page, they crumble. They assume the day is ruined, the week is wasted, the goal is dead. But that's not resilience, that's fragility. The Stoic way is to accept that the external world is chaotic and unstable. That doesn't mean giving up on planning. It means holding your plans loosely, but your values tightly. A broken plan is not a broken purpose. You can still move forward, just by a different path. When the structure falls apart, your discipline, adaptability, and mental clarity become your compass. Life will bend your schedule. What matters is whether you bend with it or break against it. But here's the Stoic truth. You are always in control of how you respond. This is the beating heart of Stoic philosophy. Response is the final frontier of your freedom. You may be knocked down, insulted, delayed, fired, abandoned, but how you process that moment, how you interpret it, how you act next, that is yours and yours alone. This power cannot be stripped from you unless you hand it over. Viktor Frankl, though not a Stoic,
echoed this in the darkest of places, Nazi concentration camps, when he wrote that between stimulus and response lies your power to choose. The Stoics would nod in agreement. Your emotions may rise unbidden, but your response can still be deliberate. Even anger, fear, or grief can be experienced without surrendering to them. Responding with clarity and virtue, even when the world is falling apart, is the ultimate proof of strength. That's not detachment, it's discipline. The stronger your internal compass, the less you are thrown off course by the storms outside. This is why Stoicism is not passive, it is a warrior's mindset. Not to fight everything, but to respond wisely to anything.
Adaptability is your secret weapon. If the plan breaks, the goal doesn't have to. Rigidity is the enemy of progress. If you're only capable of succeeding under ideal conditions, then you haven't built strength, you've built dependence. Life is full of detours, delays, and disruptions. That's not a bug, it's a feature. Stoic adaptability means you adjust course without losing conviction. If you can't work out for an hour, do 15 minutes. If the meeting is canceled, use that time to reflect or recalibrate. If your dream job vanishes, pivot and build something better. The Stoic doesn't mourn the loss of structure, they repurpose the rubble. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's the mantra of adaptability. You stop seeing obstacles as stop signs and start seeing them as creative prompts. Progress isn't linear. It's often messy, winding, and uncertain. But adaptability keeps you in motion. It's what separates those who dream from those who endure. If the plan crumbles, let it, but don't let your resolve die with it. Your strategy can change, your standards don't have to. Too many people give up at the first sign of failure, thinking it's a sign to quit, but the Stoic sees it as feedback, a challenge, a call to rise. We are conditioned by comfort to see failure as fatal. One misstep, one missed deadline, one rejection, and we retreat. But failure is not a verdict, it's information. It reveals weaknesses. It tests commitment. It highlights what needs refining. The Stoic embraces failure, not with self-pity, but with curiosity. What can I learn? What does this reveal about me? What needs to change? These are the questions that turn setbacks into stepping stones. The average person sees failure as a signal to stop. The Stoic sees it as a message to evolve. And let's be clear, failure will visit you. It must. If you're growing, if you're reaching, if you're stretching your limits, it's inevitable. The only way to avoid failure is to never try. And that's the greatest failure of all. So when failure knocks, welcome it like a trainer. Study it, adapt, and then move forward stronger. The Stoic does not fear the fall. They fear the stagnation that comes from never risking the climb. Your goals are not set in stone. Your commitment is. So learn, adjust, and press on. The Stoic understands that flexibility and fidelity are not opposites, they're partners. Your goals can shift, circumstances can change. What remains constant is your character, your commitment to virtue, your refusal to quit simply because conditions are no longer ideal. You may need to change the route, reschedule the timeline, redefine the metrics, but you do not change your direction. The core of Stoic perseverance is a relentless focus on progress, not perfection. The perfect day may never come. The flawless streak may break, but the journey doesn't stop unless you stop walking. Commit not to results, but to process, to showing up, to doing the work even when it's uninspired, inconvenient, or uncertain. And in that quiet, dogged pursuit, you grow, not in applause, not in ideal conditions, but in persistence. This is Stoic grit. This is how legacies are built,
not by flawless execution, but by unbreakable commitment to keep going, learning, and rising again. Setting goals that change your life isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters with intention, structure, and emotional depth. Anchor your goals to your vision. Plan with precision. Connect deeply, track your growth, and when life throws its punches, adapt with grace. This is the path of the Stoic. This is the mindset of true self-mastery. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment with your most meaningful goal, and let's grow together. You're not behind, you're building. Stay focused, stay grounded, and remember, the journey is the reward.